Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, the bad guy. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Oh man, this one's tough. Seriously, this one is really, really tough. Hey guys, what is going on? Lee Sanders here, 401 Mania reporter and columnist. And I tell you what, weeks like this, I gotta be honest, it freaking sucks. It just freaking sucks. I wish I was on here right now. And I wish this was a case where, nah, it's just misinformation. It's just somebody that's trolling, some putting bad crap out there, bad news that's out there. They're just trying to stir up some stuff. I wish it was one of those cases right now where I could be here right now live on Monday night, March 14th, 2022, 34 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour here on the East Coast. I wish it was a troll, but it's not. It's not. It's legit. And I tell you, it stings for me right now. This one definitely hits on a very deep and personal level. And I'll explain why in a little bit. But the man you all that have seen before your very eyes, depending on when you got started into watching pro wrestling, but if you were in there for the fun rides when it was the Monday Night War, then you know exactly what this man was all about and why this man was being given so much love, so much, he was getting his flowers online all weekend long. That's what was going on. But Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, dead at the age of 63. We're going to be here tonight. We're going to talk about nothing but the facts. I know that there's probably going to be a lot of people that's going to try to focus on those darker periods of Scott Hall's life and whether they're doing that to overall help one appreciate just how far along this man came as an individual. I can definitely get behind that. I could definitely get behind that. But hopefully folks are not going to be looking at going down those dark avenues as an opportunity to just really make it be a hot topic button for clickbait and things of that nature and try to somehow link it to, you know how some of these people are that are on sites and they're doing their vlogs and all that other stuff. They somehow try to link it back to something maybe of a particular moment that they did not like with that wrestler, and they just kind of want to make it be their business to push that agenda of theirs back to the forefront. Hopefully we're not going to be seeing any of that disgusting crap that's going to be going down with this one. But I'm stunned. I'm really stunned with this one. It's funny because when I woke up, first of all, I knew about Scott Hall's, him being in the hospital. I knew about that from over the weekend. And I had actually, was telling my wife about it and everything. And, we were just kind of going, okay, well, hopefully everything will be all right. When we did a little bit of information that, well, I did the research. I did the research trying to figure out whatever little information I could figure out. But my wife works in the healthcare industry and everything. And when she had got wind that it was a bad fall, complications from a bad fall he took and where he injured his hip and everything, she said to me, how's he really doing? Is he really doing okay? I said, well, he's in the hospital right now, so he should be okay. And then it wasn't until really, I don't think really until, was it Mark Marrow? I believe it was Mark Marrow who I noticed first on social media that had shared a very deep, heartbreaking post talking about how, hey, he could really use your thoughts and your prayers right now. But for some of you guys, it may go a little bit further back than that before Mark Marrow, because I know for a lot of people, Mark Marrow's post, that's the one that had really kind of got the ball rolling here of concern. But Jerry Jarrett, who's good friends with Scott Hall, he had announced on social media that his good friend, Scott Hall, had been in the hospital and was suffering from significant injuries as a result of a fall he had took. And those falls, man, let me tell you something. Those falls, they are no joke whatsoever. They are no joke whatsoever when you do take those falls. I've said it to you guys that's been checking out the shows for a very long time. I've told you guys repeatedly, falling at any age, but especially as you're getting up there in age, it is no joke. It is, you know, got some subscribes or whatever's going on. I'll get to shout outs in a little bit, but for right now, just let's just put that to the side for a second. Um, I wish I could be in a joking mode and all that, but I'm really not in a joking mode right now. But it's really freaking sad, because I've told people for years, falling ain't no joke. I told you guys on this show, and I'm not linking myself to Scott Hall in any type of way, seriously, but just to show you how serious I am about you. Look, falls can happen to anybody of any age. You got to be careful. And then, look, you can be careful. Sometimes it just happens. But I had said for our longtime listeners of the shows how about maybe 3, 4 years ago, I had took a nasty fall right here in my own home. And what I was doing at the time, I was doing laundry. So I had put a whole bunch of laundry in the basket, and I've got to go down a grand total of 20 steps from the top floor in my house. The way our house is broken down, we've got our basement, we've got our middle level where the kitchen, dining room, living room, where all that is. And then we've got the top level, which is pretty much the bedrooms, bathroom, and all that. And so I'm going to basically go from the top floor where the bedrooms are to the middle level. That's about 20 stairs right there, all indoors. It's 20 steps you got to go down. And then once you're on that middle level, to get to the basement, you got to go down an additional 12 to 15 steps. So I'm on the top level. I've got a basket in hand. It's not heavy at all. It's rather light. Next thing I know, I tripped and I tumbled down the stairs. And the way I landed, I was bent pretty backwards. I let out a scream and everything. And my wife, uh, our one and only dog at that time, because now we got two dogs, but our one and only dog Maggie at that time, both of them, they just came running, trying to see what the hell was going on. And my wife had to help me up. And long story short, I was walking around on crutches for a couple of weeks. Luckily, knock on wood, nothing happened with my hip or anything, but I was walking around on crutches for a couple of weeks, and then from the crutches, that transitioned into a cane. I was pushing the cane for a couple of weeks. My ankle to this very day, not it's not the same. I can still run, I can still, but there's soreness, tightness that goes about, once in a blue moon. It never really healed up properly, and that's because I had refused to go to a doctor, right? So, as my wife will tell you, because she's been in the healthcare industry, when it comes to falls and it involves the hip, which is a serious, man, there are so many complications that one could be dealing with as a result of the hip taking significant damage. And in the case of Scott Hall, that's exactly what had happened with his slip and fall there. So that's why I always try to tell you guys, if you have loved ones that are kind of getting up there in age, one of the best things you can try to do to help alleviate whatever physical pain they may be, discomfort of any type that they may be going through, especially if they are living somewhere where there are stairs, try to have it set up in a way where you can try to eliminate as many stairs as possible in that home, if at all, or consider downsizing, or hell, push come to shove, let it be a case where, okay, you know what, let's just relocate them. Okay, they were downstairs or they were upstairs and they got to go through these steps. Okay, let's just eliminate that altogether. Let's just have them be on this level. Everything they need is just pretty much right here. They ain't got to worry about nothing. That can definitely look. A fall is at some point it could happen, but at least it wouldn't be as drastically bad when you got steps involved and all that. That was only the first time in these last couple of years that I had fell as well. There was one other time I had fell, and that was not good as well. So to my point, it happens to people of all ages. I know a lot of
Come on, fuckos, let's go for a ride.
I know a lot of youngins, will think it's kind of funny, but it's really not. And you just when you think, yeah, it's not gonna happen to me, it does. It doesn't matter what age you are, it will happen. It can and it will happen. So Scott Hall suffering a bad fall in which he broke his hip, goes into the hospital. He's in the hospital for a few days. Wade Keller of PW Torch. I'm definitely gonna give respect to those that were not only on top of their reporting, but did a phenomenal job in cross referencing, trying to make sure that they're reporting nothing but the facts because there was so much misinformation that was being put out there over the weekend, going right on up into today. It wasn't even funny. But Wade Keller, among the first of PW Torch, yeah, put out on Sunday how Scott Hall had been placed on life support after suffering not one, folks, not two, but three heart attacks following his hip surgery. Keller added that there was a serious complication that arose when a blood clot got loose. And let me tell you something, that is the last thing. If you know anything about medical science, the body, and all of that, if there's one thing you need to learn from here tonight, man, when it's discovered that there's a blood clot issue, yo, pray that you're in a situation where if you're at a hospital and something's going on with a blood clot, you got the best primo care that's humanly possible. Because yeah, you seriously, and my wife will tell you, most people when they have a fall and it involves their hip, you'd be surprised how many people ultimately lose their lives because of that fall, all stemming around that hip. Because of that hip, it happens more common than you guys think. But I would like to believe that among the wrestling community, I would not be surprised if some of you guys had said, well, wait a minute, not for nothing, but wait a minute, didn't Dusty Rhodes come? Yes, exactly. But that's what Wade Keller had put out there. And Scott Hall, not for nothing, history of hip issues. Remember, there was a hip surgery that a replacement surgery that went down in 2013, and that came after Diamond Dallas Page had helped Scott Hall with the GoFundMe and all of that, with the crowdfunding campaigns after they had raised over $80,000 for that procedure, as you guys recall. So, this is not for nothing, but he's had a history of this, but this was just probably the absolute worst. And when you hear something of that magnitude, that, wait a minute, this individual had not one heart attack, not even two, but three heart attacks from this latest fall, you're going, man, if they do, I don't know if you guys were saying this. I didn't say it out there publicly because I truly, when I hear Scott Hall, I just go, man, this guy has got 9 lives. This man just keeps defying the odds time and time again. Yeah, but quietly, I'm saying to myself, 3 heart attacks. If he kicks out, he ain't gonna be the same. Ain't amount of rehabbing in the world. He ain't gonna be. That's my personal opinion. That was my personal opinion when I was hearing the news. But I love it when I'm proved wrong. Seriously, because I'm going, yo, but 3 heart attacks, I'm going, not for nothing. I had a close family member many years ago, many years ago, that I had lost complications of a fall. And they did suffer a heart attack or two, and it was kind of like, are they gonna like be lucky if they did? So it's kind of like, ugh, one of those type of deals and everything. So this just heartbreaking. And then see that post from Kevin Nash. You had so much conflicting reports that was being put out there. Shout out to Sean Waltman. Sean Waltman, he appreciated the fact that everybody was trying to send their thoughts and prayers and speedy recovery and everything. But it got to a point where a lot of people were talking about Scott Hall in past tense. And every time you were just making your rounds, looking on social media, trying to figure out what the hell was going on with Scott, any new updates, what exactly is going on. Everybody was talking about this guy as if it was past tense, and the man is still kicking in some form. The man is still kicking. It's like, ooh, Jesus, right? Kevin Nash had probably put out one of the most heartbreaking posts in regards to Scott Hall. I would highly recommend you guys go out of your way if you did not read it in its entirety, but in part, he did say that he was blessed to have a friend like Hall who enriched his life. Um, he said that Hall was a great guy and noted that you ain't gonna never see another one like him again. Talked about how they, both got into business at about same time and just up and down the roads that they've been on. I will say this in retrospect, Nash pretty much knew the writing was on the wall the way that he was talking. So to kind of defend some of the people that were prematurely putting out blah, 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 past tense to Scott Hall, they probably most likely read what Kevin Nash had to say and they were going off of that. I understand it, but when the man wasn't even taken off of life support yet, family haven't even, okay, well, let's see what might happen. And when you're being taken off of life support, by the way, for our younger listeners, usually when you're ultimately taken off life support, a couple of reasons. I'm not going to be long-winded, but one, it could be a case where, all right, well, you know what? We've done all our surgeries. We've done everything that we respectfully can. And you know what? It's pretty much at this point out of our hands. And, we got to see if they're going to be able to kick out on their own, if they're going to be able to breathe on their own and everything. So, we're asking if we can take them off life support so we can try to see what happens, see if they can do this on their own, if they can breathe on their own. That's the whole point of life support, in a nutshell, in layman's terms. Okay, to really break it down for you guys. Let's see if this person can, function on their own, breathe on their own, all that good stuff, right? And then, you know, there's times where, okay, look, we've done everything we can. They're on life support. Look, we're not noticing any type of brain activity whatsoever. I'm just going to throw it out there. This is hollow. Everything that's going on right now is hollow. Nothing inside is right. Yeah, these machines at this point, they're keeping this person alive, but there's nothing going on. There's no brain activity going on whatsoever. Y'all may want to go on ahead, make a couple of phone calls, get whoever you need to get here and everything. We'll buy you some time and everything, give you all the time that we need. But, at some point, someone is going to have to make the call so that we can turn off life support, right? And you heard at one point how, all the family members were getting together. And that, I will say, I do remember sharing that piece of news with the wifey. And Tams told me straight up, she said, yeah, she's like, this very well. When it gets to that point, that's pretty much it. Like, yeah, it's like, but I'm thinking to myself, because I'm that little kid. I'm sure many of you guys are as well. If you grew up on Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, you're going, but this is the bad guy. The bad guy always kicks out here, man. Like, come on. The bad guy usually wins here. Come on. That dude? There's certain guys I don't bet against. I don't bet against Michael Jordan. Well, unless it comes to the Charlotte Bobcats, right? Or Charlotte Hornets. Unless it comes to them, I don't bet against Jordan otherwise. I don't bet against Tom Brady. Scott Hall? Oh, I'm not gonna bet against him. Come on. Scott Hall. Please. You know. I definitely want to hear some of you guys find funny memories of Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, and everything. I've got three I'll share with you right now. One that I'll share with you. It was a personal one, a real personal one. Very seldom have I talked about this on the show, but I actually had an opportunity to speak with Scott Hall. This is nowhere on social media. I'll tell you that right now. This is nowhere on social media. This is nowhere archived. If anything, my experience in talking with him, that's documented, but I couldn't tell you what podcast episode it was on. Because it was many, many years ago. This would have been around the time that DDP had decided to take in Scott Hall and try to help him out, you know, turn his life around, get him cleaned up and everything. So shout out if you guys, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon fans, if you remember that time period back then and how, my God, just overwhelmingly, what a great moment it was to see the wrestling community all come together and everybody just, okay, one goal. We got to do what we can to try to help out Scott Hall here. Let's see what happens. So hopefully it's not too late. Let's see what happens. And I remember when they were doing the whole crowdfunding thing and all that. I ain't think nothing much of it. I just said, okay, you know what? It's fucking Scott Hall. Whatever, let's do it. And I remember I came on the show for next couple of weeks and I was telling folks, yo, there's a campaign there for Scott Hall, chip in, yada, yada, yada. And I don't know if it was around that period. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm like 90% certain it was around that period. Because I do remember when they did the crowdfunding for his hip replacement surgery. I do remember that. But I more so remember when DDP was like, look, I'm taking in Scott Hall. Let's try to rebuild him, make him better, help him turn his life around. That it might be all balled up in one for all I know, because we're talking about that 2012 to 2014 period. So you're asking me to try to remember something from almost 10 years ago. But the one thing that I do remember in regards to Scott Hall, I had received an email that was in reference to the contribution I had made to Scott Hall and his whole rebuilding process. And it turns out, I didn't think that much of it. I didn't care for any perks or anything like that. But it turns out I had a perk that was coming to me. And I'm going, well, first off, what the hell is a perk? Because I'm still trying to understand what this whole crowdfunding crap was all about, right? And perks and all of that. So it turns out I had an opportunity to have a conversation face to face via Skype with Scott Hall. And I was like, oh, wow. I'm like, this is okay. Nice. And so we do it. And Scott Hall, he's got a black shirt on. He's got his reading glasses on. And, we come on and everything. He goes, Lee? I go, yeah. Hey, yo. What's up, big dog? And I go, oh, man, nothing much. I'm just kicking back, chilling. I can't remember if it was wintertime or whatever, but he was like, where you from? I'm like, oh, from right here in Washington, D.C. D.C.? I'm like, yeah. Oh, I got a lot of good stories about D.C. I'm like, oh, yeah? He's like, yeah. And so we were just going back and forth, shooting the shit. And man, I tell you what, it was such an awesome fucking moment. Seriously, it was an awesome fucking moment. And I treated him like just a like one of my friends. I just treated him like an average Joe. I didn't mark out. I didn't have no freaking. I just treated him like a human being. Seriously, just a regular human being. And we must have talked for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Just going back and forth. And I asked him, I said, so how you liking it up there? They treating you good? Everything's going okay. He said, yeah, brother. He's like, I'm eating good up here, man. I'm telling you, I'm eating good. I'm working out. I'm feeling great. It's because of good, kind people like you that's keeping me going. I mean, it was just, yeah. And I just remember saying to him, there's one thing I made sure I did drive home to him. I told him, I said, look, it's like I grew up on you. I can remember being a kid, almost going into my teens, growing up on your work at the pinnacle of your career there. And you mean so much to me. And it's really awesome to see that you're in this state right now where you're turning your life around. I'm seeing it with my own two eyes. Everything that you guys been putting out there with this incredible journey, just I told him, I said, stay on the path. Just keep doing it, man. Keep doing it. Just don't stop. He was like, I'm not gonna stop. He's like, I'm gonna keep doing it, brother. And it was awesome. It was awesome. And I'm trying to hold back right now because I'm starting to feel kind of emotional just talking about it and everything. But yeah, that for me, that's something. There's certain things. We're in this day and age right now where everything's got to be with a phone. Everything's got to be with a tablet and just to try to record a memory. But there's some things that what you don't need to have a device for. There's some things that you can just, what? It's all in here. No matter what happens, no matter how old you get, the memory it remains. Everything's just gonna be up here, right? And for me, that is just something that I'll always cherish. Seriously, that I'll always cherish because it meant that much to me, as somebody that at one point had a loved one in my own immediate family that was dealing with drugs, was a drug addict for many years. And I kept trying to intervene, get them to clean themselves up and turn their life around. And they had to hit rock bottom to really realize that, oh man, I'm doing not only significant harm to myself, but I'm doing significant harm to those around me. And so I guess you could kind of say, as far as that connection with Scott Hall, not only was it a case of maybe what I was experiencing with that respective family member, but also because I grew up on Scott Hall, right? I think you guys can kind of see the similarities there within reason. And knock on wood, that person, that family relative I was talking about, they were able to turn their life around and clean themselves up, and knock on wood, they've been drug free now for almost 20 years. Drug free now for almost 20 years. You heard a couple of hiccups here and there with Scott Hall, but he was doing good. You didn't hear about him getting into any type of trouble. You didn't hear him no DUI, no silly crap. Unlike some people that we see at least a couple of times a quarter, they're always getting arrested. They're always getting a DUI charge or some stupid crap like that. You didn't see any of that stuff that was going on. So for those of you that are just tuning in, it is official. As Sean Waltman, as far as I was concerned, Sean Waltman was, if not the first, among the first to confirm that Scott Hall is in fact, he did officially pass away. If those of you that were watching WWE Raw, and I know it's kind of hard to get into Raw, even though they're on the road to WrestleMania, I know for a lot of you guys, including myself, it's really hard to get into Raw right now with that piece of news. Because I tell you what, one thing that was kind of throwing many of us off, I know for me, I'm trying to take my mind off of whatever's going on with Mr. Hall, thinking, well, he's going to be okay. And the very first thing that pops up, before you get Monday Night Raw and everything, is a in memoriam graphic of Scott Hall, and you're going, okay, that's nice. But then you see 1958 to 1963, and you're going, wait a minute here. Nobody else, especially if you've been refreshing your feeds all day, you're going, wait a minute. Nobody has said. And then, sure enough, within about the first 15 minutes of Raw tonight, Sean Waltman, he just simply put out, he's gone. And that's all she wrote. That's all she wrote. It's refreshing to see it. I'll tell you this, this did put a legit smile on my face. It was refreshing and nice to see so many people share that Hall of Fame speech that he gave. You know the speech I'm talking about. Because that was a really, really cool moment. It was. I remember when I had covered that Hall of Fame ceremony, both times that Scott Hall went in pretty much solo, and then when it came to NWO. But I remember just how much I was on cloud nine seeing him. Nice slicked back hair in a ponytail. He's got the white blazer on, nice black collar, and he's going in there. I'm going, my man got dressed up. He is nice and smooth looking for this one. He is nice and sharp for this bad boy. That's how you do it, right? And he was holding it down. He was holding it down. Of all the Hall of Fame speeches in recent years, that's the one that stuck out to me the most because that was the one I had enjoyed oh so much. And it was nice to see that was making its rounds on social media all throughout the weekend. Definitely going into today. Um, yeah, I'm seeing what some of you guys are saying in the chat right here. I see a lot of you guys are just so sad. And yeah, I agree with Anthony. Anthony saying, yes, very sad day in the wrestling world. It is. It is. Christopher Carter, damn, he passed away. God, no, why? Indeed, indeed. Al, who said, so unexpected and sad. Rest in peace. Razor, the bad guy. Ramon. Speaking of the bad guy, how cool is that, by the way, that Scott Hall pretty much took a iconic character portrayed so brilliantly by Al Pacino and Tony Montana from Scarface. What was that? 1983. I believe Scarface was 1983. He takes that character, right? He just, when it's time for him to pretty much pull the trigger on the Razor Ramon character and everything, right? I mean, how badass is that? How badass is that? You know, you got certain people that can, yeah, okay, you can sound like Tony Montana. You can have the walk and all that good stuff, but can you do it in such a way where you're borrowing elements from this, but you're also making it your own? It is your own original concept, right? And he brilliantly was able to freaking do that. Seriously, when you really stop and think about that, right? I can't help but wonder how many fans legit know about the movie Scarface and how that was a huge influence on him. I wonder how many actually, to the point that they actually have seen that movie, because you'd be surprised how many people have not seen the Scarface movie, believe it or not. You'd be very surprised. Let's see. Charlie Ward. I wished I loved comic books because those heroes never die. But wrestling has always had a huge part in my life, and this is the worst thing about loving wrestling. Rest in peace, Scott Hall. Dude, you nailed it so perfectly. Seriously. At least when it comes to comic books, it's like, yeah, these guys live for freaking ever. They can be reimagined, right? They can get a new costume. They can get a new life. They can, right? Issue to issue. It's just, and maybe that is in part. what has had many of us that's been into the comics since we were kids has somehow still managed to keep us around or have us come back all these years later because the exciting stories that's yet to be told, the never-ending cycle basically, right? These characters, these iconic characters at that, they just continue to live on and on and on. And yeah, to your point, yeah, wouldn't it be cool if just our favorite wrestlers were just comic book heroes instead? I agree with that 1,000%. 1,000%. Carlos, rest in peace. Ali, best childhood memories with Scott Hall. He was hilariously awesome. I hope we don't lose Ric Flair too early. He still makes us laugh even today. He does. He does. He is still freaking funny on so many levels. He's saying a bunch of, crazy stuff now, right? He's a little bitter. He's a little bitter right now, but boy, I tell you, yeah, he can still make us laugh. He can still make us laugh. I am just before we get ready to close this, I'm just checking one more time the feeds, just trying to see in regards to any late breaking news that we might be able to share with you here before we get ready to sign off. But we are going to be coming right back later tonight. We're going to try. We're going to try to talk about some WWE Raw Fallout. You know, we'll talk some wrestling news, some lighthearted wrestling news, and try to liven up the mood a little bit. So, if you're going to be around at 11 p.m. Eastern after Raw goes off, you can definitely come on back. You're more than welcome. I know definitely there's going to be a decent amount of you guys not really going to be able to sleep tonight given the news. And, I like stuff like this because it's therapeutic for us all when you really stop and think about it, that we're all able to come together and we could just swap stories. We're consoling each other over this loss. And, you know, yeah, this is just, before this fall had happened, I had been documenting it every other week on the shows. And I had made note of the fact that Scott Hall was advertised for WrestleCon. And anybody that knows about WrestleCon, right? You know what WrestleCon is all about. And I remember, doing the plug, hey, Scott Hall's gonna be there, da 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 da. And the prices, I remember them because I remember there were some their pricing information was not available, and I can't quite remember if his pricing information was available. But I remember he was advertised for, it, and I said, "Oh wow, this is kind of cool, right? This is badass." And obviously this was before the hip the hip complications, the fall, and everything. That was before that. But yeah, when you saw that graphic by WWE, you're going, wait a minute, what exactly is going on here? And then WWE immediately followed up with that Raw graphic. They followed up on their social media and they had posted WWE remembers Scott Hall on their social media feed. So yeah, yeah, very sucks, man. Rough week. We've lost a lot of good people in 2022. We lost a lot of good people. Veteran actor William Hurt passed away at the age of 71. I'm not sure how many of you guys were aware of that, but if at any point you had paid attention to a Marvel movie, when it pretty much had came to Avengers Initiative and some other stuff, William Hurt had played a vital role early on in the first initial phase of the Marvel movies and everything. And true story, I don't know how many folks were aware of this, but if you remember a hit TV series called Millennium starring Lance Hendrickson, here's some fun trivia for you guys. Originally slated to be in the role of Frank Black before Lance Hendrickson came on board, there was a pitch for William Hurt, but William Hurt ultimately turned it down, and that's how it eventually went into the hands of Lance Hendrickson from Aliens and Terminator. I'm not sure how many of you guys were aware of that. Yeah, I'm on here, and there is nothing else that is breaking right now in regards to Scott Hall. But I do want to say this. I'm sure that many of you will join me in sharing the same sentiments as well. He truly was the bad guy we all love to hate. Uh, One of my other favorite memories from Scott Hall, besides the one story I shared with you guys earlier, I remember the Razor Ramon vignettes. I remember how Scott Hall pretty much was pulling a page out of Tony Montana and Scarface, the way he was going about introducing the character, and he's just riding around in a nice little car with the top down, and he's got the toothpick in his mouth, and he's pretty much, "Hola, chico. My name is Razor Ramon." Remember that? Remember those vignettes back when the vignettes totally kicked ass back in the day? Man, the way they did Razor Ramon's vignettes, right? It's nothing like today with the whole Veer is coming. Veer's been coming for almost 6 months now, right? But man, those vignettes back then, there was a time where you got so excited. You're going, who is this character? Wow, this character looks freaking badass. I gotta see this guy. Oh my God, right? And all that build up, it was worth the wait, man. It was worth the wait because by the time you did see Razor do his thing, you going, yeah, yeah. That is if you didn't check him out when he was in the AWA and a couple of other promotions. If you saw him when he finally debuted as Razor, you're going, oh, this dude's beast. This dude's beast. But oozing charisma, mad swag, truly ain't gonna be another one. Always imitated, always replicated, but man, the real thing, even better than the real thing. Can't nothing touch it, man. Seriously, can't nothing touch it. Ross Sapp was able to confirm through WWE because he had reached out to them. So yeah, it's all pretty much official here and everything. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else. Well, here's something from. Hang on, let me just make sure. No, no, no. That's in regards to Mark Merrow. That we already had told you about. I'm just making sure here. Yeah, there's nothing else. There's nothing else breaking right now. Nothing else breaking right now. Let me at least see if Sean Waltman, Kevin Nash might have said something, or even the Hulkster. Because, it got to a point there with those guys where they were starting to do a little NWO signing here and there, if you guys recall. Wow, the Hulkster has not said anything yet. Take that for what it's worth, guys. I don't want you guys reading too much into it, but Hulkster has not said anything. Yeah, his last post was on February 28th in regards to him being officially divorced. He has not posted anything since. So that's Hulkster. You would have thought that of all people, Hulkster would have at least jumped out there and put something, a little something out there. But he has not put anything out there yet. Let's see here. I'm looking at Kevin Nash right now just to see. Yeah. And I'm checking Twitter for those of you. I'm checking Twitter. So if anybody wants to maybe hop on Instagram real quick and check, you're more than free to do so. But nothing from Nash via Twitter, although we know about the post he put out there on Instagram from the other day. So I'm curious if Triple H might have said something. Very rare Triple H posts these days, given his health condition, but because his last thing Triple H had put out there was stuff about Vader. H has not said anything yet on his social media feed. I'm going back to Sean Waltman because out of the guys, I know Bischoff has been active as well. I know Bischoff has said a little something here and there. So hang on. Let's see here. Where is Sean Waltman? I'm looking for Sean Waltman. There we go. See, Sean, where are you? There's Sean. Okay. See what Sean got out here. I wouldn't be surprised if the last thing Sean put out was the pretty much he's gone post. No, Sean did follow up. Sean did follow up. Wow, that speaks huge volumes. Sean put up an image not that long ago, a black and white image of Scott Hall shaking hands with, of all people, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. And the caption above the photo reads, "Together again." Let me see if Eric Bischoff followed up and said anything here. Let's see. Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff, pretty much, here's what Eric Bischoff had to say through his respective podcast, 83 Weeks. Without Scott Hall and his influence in professional wrestling, this podcast would not exist. That's just one tiny piece of the incredible legacy Scott left behind after his years of hard work and dedication to the industry. Rest in peace, Scott Hall. You'll be badly missed. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I do have a third memory to share with you guys. I'm curious if this will jog some of you guys' memories. But does anybody remember the time period there where when Scott Hall was really starting to break in and understand social media? Because the first thing that he really latched on to and took a liking to was Twitter. And anybody that at some point had followed Scott Hall for a hot minute on Twitter knows this vividly. Scott Hall would do this thing where it was pretty much after dark. It was like after hours. And Scott Hall would basically be sharing some pretty spicy photos of some women. I guess, I don't know. I don't know if maybe he was horny and he was looking up some cam models and he was having some sessions with them. I don't know what it was. But it was basically it was basically Scott Hall sharing these raunchy pics, and you're going, dude, and like you got that it was after hours, but at the same time, you're going, okay, it might be after hours for us, but other people are going to be seeing this when they get ready to go to work or school the next day, all this other stuff. And it was just crazy. I remember there was a couple of joints where he had shared some nudes. Wasn't there supposedly a Dick Leak pic or something from Scott Hall? I just remember, I was like, man. And at one point, I just had to go ahead and say, okay, Scott, your shit a little too spicy here, dog. I'm gonna have to just hide your shit, right? That way I can just go out of my way and look at your posts instead, right? Come on your profile, look at your posts instead. I don't know if shout out if you remember that though. Shout out if you remember that. That for me, yo, Scott had one vicious ass eye for some physical talent. I tell you what, man, some of the women he was sharing images of, especially when they was pushing the NWO shirts and all that. Woo, daddy. Some nice models he was finding. JPW, shout out to him. He said that Triple H had just posted something about a minute ago. So let's go back and see what Triple H Paul Levesque just put out there. Let's see here. Triple H, where you at, brother? Okay, let's see what he said here. All right, this was about 3 minutes ago. So this would have been at about 9:18 p.m. Eastern. Triple H said, I'm gutted, lost a brother. I love you, Scott. I'll see you down the road. Hashtag buddy system. So he's sharing one image where it's him and Scott on a episode of Monday Night Raw. I remember that. I remember that episode. And then, of course, the infamous curtain call pick. Wow. And then the other one from the Hall of Fame when DX pretty much went in. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely got to be taking it pretty damn personal right now. He is. He is. But does anybody else, I just got to ask you guys, maybe it's nothing, but I got to ask you guys, does anybody else find it so weird that the Hulkster has not put anything out there? Seriously. I mean, get that, maybe you're going through a divorce, but you've known this guy made good money with him for many years. Does anybody else find it kind of weird that the Hulkster has not put anything out there, that he's pretty much been silent? I don't know, teach its own. I'm not trying to read too much into it. I mean, hell, maybe for all we know, maybe that was a punch to the gut and he is just trying to gather his faculties and maybe hopefully he'll say something tomorrow. But I just find it kind of weird that Triple H has said something, Nash has pretty much said something, Waltman has said something, Eric Bischoff has said something, right? And where it counts the most, right? Hulkster hasn't said anything yet. Kind of weird there. Kind of weird there. All right, so let's see here. Yes, Forgotten MMA. I agree 100%. R.I.P. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Ain't that the truth, brother? Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? All right, so we're going to go on ahead for now. We're going to pause. And look, it's going to be hard to do, but if you remember anything that I've said here tonight, just if you have a loved one, just try to do your very best to look out for them, especially if they're physically getting up there in age and everything. They're not as mobile as they used to be. Try to do what you can to have everything be a even playing field for them. If you can put them in a position where you can eliminate as many steps as possible, right? If they got to come from downstairs or upstairs to get to a common area, consider maybe downsizing your home if you're financially in the means to do so. Have everything just be on one level. That way they don't have to worry about stairs and all that. Or maybe you can, downsize your home, right? Downsize your home altogether and get a new home. That kind of takes care of the situation itself right there. Something else that you can consider if it's within your means is maybe looking into a personal aid that can maybe be there for that loved one when you're not able to be there. Um, it just depends on whatever your respective budget is, the time that you're able to invest, and all of that. If there's any one thing you remember from here, just try to remember stuff like that. And I'm not telling you something that haven't already touched upon many times over the years, because I've said this repeatedly over the years as far as falls can and will happen to anybody. I don't told you just now about some of the falls I've had. So, try to see what you can do right there. But anything as far as funeral arrangements go and how you might be able to contribute, send thoughts, all of that, I will definitely do my best to be on top of that and relay that information to you guys. Because I know from time to time we do a little, hey, I'll match you dollar for dollar and all of that. But if you're going to be around later tonight, we're going to try to liven up the mood a little bit, but we'll also still show a lot of props there, show some love there to Scott Hall. So if you're going to be around later tonight after Raw goes off, 11 p.m., circle on back. We'll show some more fun stories, some fun memories. You've heard me ramble on. I think, honestly, those of you that'll be around, it's pretty much just going to be about you guys. I'll be just bouncing off of your memories, your comments, and we'll sprinkle in some lighthearted news. Tom Brady's back, right? So that's kind of how you feel about that. Some people are probably going, right, and all of that good stuff. But yeah. All right, guys. So that's it for now. Thank you guys for doing this. And again, just circle on back. I know for a lot of you guys, you're not really going to be able to sleep good tonight. Just come on back and we will get through this together. I promise you guys, right? We'll get through this together. Much love and yeah, take care.